people that in that house are doing today is the request, and Owen immediately asked me, I hope I'm saying your name right, asked me to talk about this, and it's to do with the Defence Force, the Irish Defence Forces, the brave men of the brave men and women of the Irish Defence Forces. And I said this many times before about the Irish Defence Forces, that they're amazing people, and I know so many of them had to unfortunately leave the army, and they never wanted to. They always wanted to be a soldier. They always wanted to be a soldier and fight for the country and work for the country, and unfortunately lots of them had to go, and that brings me on to paying conditions. One of them I know, more or less said, you get more in the minimum wage. You really would. It's 9 something an hour. You get that. You get more if you're working in in the minimum wage than you would in the Defence Forces. Like there's one fellow I know who is still working in the Defence Forces. And when the flooding was going on down the Shannon and around the country back about a month ago, they only got €1 and something extra for that work. The Defence Forces were putting sandbags and bringing people from their homes, so only got €1 extra. Which is disgraceful. The only reason why, and the thing I don't like about it, and I said it many times, the Defence Forces have no union. Like the bus union, the bus airman has a union, teachers have a union. The army have no union. They rely on the people of Ireland to stand up for them. And unfortunately, the government have, decided to ignore the army. And as I said before, I said this in one of my Defence Forces videos before, you never know when you need them. And we need them now. And I remember the time we had 12,000 and even 14,000 men active in the Irish Defence Forces. Now that's only 8,000, nearly 500 and something. And going back even to 2016, there was 10,000 active. See the big drop now. 2,000 have left. 2,500 nearly have left in the last few years. And that's a huge lot to buy themselves out of the army. They haven't retired, they just left. They have left to go and get better jobs because they couldn't afford to survive in the Defence Forces. It's just the paying conditions. Like I even said, there was a case I remember talking about, and it was on the Irish Navy. It was a Navy ship. It was Irish Navy ships. First of all, they docked up loads of Navy ships. They locked up 2 Navy vessels, and left them in port for God knows how long. They left them in port. And there was drug dealers bringing drugs, smuggling drugs across the water from Ireland into from England into Ireland. And there was no Navy ships. We had no ships to stop them because there wasn't enough men to man them, and there wasn't the money. They said there wasn't the money. And they have the money to pay the TDs and senators' pensions. They have the money to increase their pensions by 3,000 a year. Increase their money by 3,000 a year. And that's sort of a cock and bull story. They haven't got the money. Like they have the money, but they just couldn't be bothered to spend it. And I admire the families of the Defence Forces, the members of the Defence Forces. People who stand up for husbands and wives who stand up for the people working in the Defence Forces, because the people in the Defence Forces, think about them. They're not really supposed to give out about the Defence Forces. They're supposed to really just sit down and take it. In other words, that's what the government want them to do. And obviously, they can't do that when they're starving and the family's starving and they're struggling to pay a mortgage and everything like that, which is the majority of the soldiers, young soldiers, struggling to pay a mortgage. And they're just, the thing is, the government is so bad. Like, I've never seen any country treat its army, its national army, so badly. Like, honest to God, I couldn't care. And I might just say, I've said this many times, I couldn't care if they never had a gun in the Irish army. As long as the soldiers were well paid and well treated, I couldn't care less. If they ever got even an armoured car in their life. It's just about, the thing about it is, to me, it's just about them wanting to serve their country. And they want to serve the state. And then the government gives them the middle finger. Because that's what's happened. And that's something I really just don't like the government would do. Because these men have devoted their life to serve their country, both here and abroad. And, for you to turn your back and say, we don't care about the Defence Forces, they're nothing to us, more or less. That's what the governments have been treated, the successive governments, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, have been treating the Defence Force like. And they're afraid, and the Liam Farquhar and Pascal Noonan, they're afraid of the Defence Forces. And, they should, I'd say it, and, Michael Higgins, too, I said this many times before, he said, and, I quote him, he said there should be better conditions and everything like that, and he said that. He's Commander-in-Chief of the Defence Forces. I would have said a lot more. I would have nearly wet my hands and knees to ask Leo Varadkar to up the wages for the department, for the soldiers in the army. But that didn't happen. He never stood up for his soldiers, Michael Higgins. He's supposed to be, if anything, he's a figurehead for the Irish state. But the one job he has is Commander-in-Chief of the army. And he's done a poor job. I'm sure people would say that. He's done a poor job making sure the army, have everything. Like, I could go through all the stories. Like, I even covered a story of Irish soldiers sleeping on dirty mattresses. And, that's just kicking them. That's just kicking, that's just taking the piss. Like, the Department of Defence is just taking the piss sometimes. It's just respect. It's that small bit of word. Like, Leo Varadkar, let's get this straight. Leo Varadkar was a doctor. I'm sure every man in the government and every woman in the government will never solve the day in their life in the Defence Forces. I say even half of them don't even know what Defence Forces is. Or they will solve the Defence Forces or the FDA. What's the FDA? Well, it's a different organ. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking of something else. Maybe that was the old word from back years ago. Probably was. What was I saying? But yeah, it's just that it's the principle. It's the principle. And I could go over things. And then there was another case too, where Irish soldiers had to sleep outside on the decks of ships, on the Irish Navy ships, because there was no room inside, they had no beds inside, they wouldn't put the beds inside with them. Like, it's just slapping them in the face, and it's just, honestly, you wouldn't treat a prisoner. And this is the thing, you wouldn't treat somebody in Mountjoy. I'd say the government nearly give the bend over backwards for gangsters and drug dealers in this country. And when the Defence Forces asked them for sup and sip, or for a small bit of respect and a small bit of dignity, there's no dignity in giving them a dirty mattress to sleep on. There's no dignity after they serve maybe 30 years in the Defence Forces. Somebody who could even serve, God forbid, 50 years in the Defence Forces and be treated like that. And that's a disgrace if you be treated like, even if somebody's only 2 minutes in the Defence Forces being treated like that. It's a disgrace. Like, honest to God, I wish they would have given that dirty mattress to Leo Varadkar, took his mattress and give it to one of the soldiers. And then see would Leo Varadkar understand, because that's the only way you see to get them to understand. Like, me, I would understand the Defence Forces. I think the number, and I might just say my own opinion, I think the active soldiers in Ireland should be increased. It was 10,000. I would like to get it up to 25,000. I know that's a big job. If I ever got into government, and if I ever became Minister of Defence, it'd be 25,000 active soldiers. Something like 10,000 reserves or something like that we'll get. That's what they will look for. There's 2,000 active, 2,000 reserves, I think. Something like that. But yeah, that's something what I would go for. But obviously, if I was, it'd be very different if I was. Obviously, what I've said about bringing drugs across the water. I just say blow them out of the water. Simple as that. I just say, like, the government are too afraid of to do anything in this country related to the Defence Forces. And every man and every woman that serves in the Defence Forces, I say this to you now, because you're going through a very, very difficult time. You're doing amazing work, but it's very stressful. And obviously with the lack of pay you're getting, it is even extremely more stressful. To have nobody stand up for you. Thankfully we do have we do have a TDE. He's for Cadell South. I remember talking with Cathy Bowley, isn't it? He's an ex-Ranger, Irish Ranger, elite, the Irish elite, Special Forces in other words. He's in Darlow, he's an independent. Hopefully maybe I might get speaking to him. I would like to get speaking to him. Maybe I might bring him on if I can. I would be happy enough to bring him on. I would be delighted to bring him on. I would be delighted. And anybody watching this video now, you can text him or tweet at him, say, I have no problem. He can come on and talk as much as he wants. I'd love to just hear what he has to say. Because he's the man. He knows what he's talking about. And definitely he should be Minister for Defence at the moment in time in this country. Because obviously this. Because the will probably need independent support from the gay on Fianna Fáil. But yeah, I got sidetracked. It's just a disgrace. It's just a disgrace how bad, people who do bad in this country, they don't get half as bad treatment as the members of the Defence Forces. And and now when they need it, the government are like, oh, we need the Defence Force, we need to mobilise them. we need to mobilise them. We never cared before about them, but we care about them now because, you know, the country's in a crisis. And, you know, they never wanted to know, like, I remember they never wanted to really know about payment, the extra payment for the army. Like, they've tried to push it under the carpet. They say, it's nothing to do with us, we don't want anything to do with it. There's already signed off and this, that, and the other. And it's just sad. It's just really, really sad that any government, I'm sure you ask any government across the world, I say something about America and United Kingdom, at least they treat the soldiers well. And as simple as that, and I don't think they will put up the soldiers over there won't put up with the quackery or listen to. And it just goes to show you how strong our soldiers are. So I'm just saying to, you know, all the soldiers out there, every man and every woman who serves in local in the Heron, now, you know, fair play to you, God bless you. You're doing great work. I know it's very, very difficult. Even the ones who are just coming in for the moment as to help out, you know, extremely appreciate it. I can't say it enough. And, you know, maybe the government might not appreciate your work, but the people involved appreciate it. And the people who you saving now, the people's lives you're saving right now, they appreciate it. And we appreciate it. And it doesn't go unnoticed. Your work does not go unnoticed. And I make sure, you know, that the work go unnoticed too. But yeah, just please take care of yourselves if you are suffering at the moment that I'm opening the hair. Please just take care and be safe and, you know, be well and take care and bye.